Hey everybody, Steve here. It's Thursday night and it's time for episode 10 of the AFR Question of the Week. So last week in the show, I asked everybody what their favorite fantasy matchup was, and we had a lot of great responses between baseball and football matchups. Let's go right to the viewer responses. First up, we had Brian Breezing, who said he'd love to see the Bronx Bombers of the 60s play the Big Red Machine of the 70s. And then we had Paul Dillon, who said that he'd like to see Satchel Paige and some of the other Negro League stars play off against the other Major League Baseball stars of their time in an integrated league. And then finally on the baseball diamond, we had Rock Mosquito saying he'd like to see the 67 Cardinals face off against the Murderers Row, the 1927 Yankees. Viewer Royce Benuelos said that he'd like to see a couple fantasy matchups in the squared circle. First up, he said that he'd like to see Bernard Hopkins face off against Sugar Ray Robinson. And then in the wrestling squared circle, he'd like to see Mankind, Mick Foley, face off against current star Bray Wyatt. Definitely some interesting matchups for sure there. And then moving over to the football arena, first viewer Dean Rogers said that he'd like to see a couple of teams from football dynasties face off against each other. The 1992 Dallas Cowboys facing off against the 1978 Pittsburgh Steelers. Definitely would be a great matchup. Lots of Hall of Fame players on the field on both sides of the ball. Would be a great matchup to replicate, maybe on the tabletop with your favorite football game. And then finally, the featured comment of the week comes from viewer Greg Pillow, who left a really interesting story about the 1963 football season, where the AFL champion San Diego Chargers actually challenged the NFL champions, the Chicago Bears, to a championship match, and the Bears declined. And a lot of people, both at the time and historians looking back now, say that there's a really good chance that that San Diego team would have defeated the Bears. So definitely interesting if we would have had the Super Bowl take place a few years before it actually started. Thank you again to everybody who left a comment. Really enjoy reading your thoughts and your input on the question of the week. So, new week, new topic, and this time I'm taking it back into the board game arena, and I'd like to know, what are your thoughts on writing on or destroying game components? And the reason why I say destroy is because there's an interesting new series of games coming out in the board game world that are legacy style games. So it started off with Risk Legacy, and then just recently Pandemic Legacy. And these games are designed to be played through once. And during the course of these games, you'll actually write on the board, you'll put stickers on the board, and it permanently changes how the next game will be played. In some cases it changes the rules, it gets rid of some old rules, introduces new ones, and then in some extreme cases you actually destroy some of the game components, never to be used again. And so in our sports board gaming world, we tend to write on player cards, add notes to them. In the case of like History Maker Baseball, if a player has a new quality added because of a till further notice, maybe you'll write that right on the player card. Now, I know that for some people, their board games and their board game components are very sacred, and there is absolutely no writing on them whatsoever, whereas some people, it's c'est la vie, and they'll fold them and write on them to their heart's content. And so I just wanted to see what your thoughts are on writing on game components. And also a follow-up question to that, I want to see if anybody has actually played any of these legacy-styled board games. Now, as for myself, I have absolutely no problem with writing on cards, and for me, playing through these games, it's about the experience. And most of the time, especially with a season set, if I play through one full season, I'm not going to go back and play them again, and so I don't really see it as that I'm defacing the cards or making them unusable. I'm just creating memories, and then also making it easier to reference something that happened to that player. If they got injured, they have new quality added to their card, or what have you. So I'm definitely in the it's a game, and I don't have any problem writing on it. But for some of my other board games that aren't sports related, I have to say that I am a little bit more careful with them and treat them a little bit differently than I do my sports board games. So I'll open up the floor to viewers' comments. Please let me know your thoughts on writing on and destroying board game components, and I'll showcase some of the answers on next week's show. Alright everybody, that's all for now. Thank you for watching. My name's Steve, and until next time, get out there, have fun, play games, and I'll see you after further review.